Welcome to Newark Made, where we bring you the voices of people shaping Newark's future. I'm Emily Manns, and today I'm sitting down with someone who's making a real impact. Dr. Suffiyah Webb, the founder of Smiles Pediatric Dentistry in Teachers Village. She's a Newark native, a board-certified pediatric dentist, a musician, a mom, and yes, she even makes balloon animals for her patients. Her practice is all about creating a space where kids feel safe, seen, and cared for. Not just for their teeth, but for their whole well-being. Dr. Webb, great to see you and welcome to the show.
Thank you, Emily. Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're excited. So before we get started, we want to ask a fun icebreaker question.
Sure.
If your life had chapter titles, what would you call this current one?
Oh, wow. How big is the book? All right. So let's say if the book had 100 chapters, okay. I would like to think that I'm in chapter 40.
Okay. Expand.
Well, I mean, I'm also in my 40s,
okay.
But I would like to believe that in this chapter of my life, it's just the beginning of the rest. I have a young child. She's 5 years old. So she's just getting started with her life. So I would love to be around for a long time to experience her growth as well as business growth and just, time with family, friends, loved ones.
Yeah, I love that answer. Yeah. Thank you. So, my daughter is a patient of Brilliant Smiles. She's 3. We've been there a couple times now. And I always notice when we go in there, your office is fun. It has like a welcoming vibe. There's like a beautiful like purple color. There's beautiful art on the walls. The chairs are purple. It's just a really neat, very different, I think, dentist vibe than I've ever been to. What inspired you to create something different from the typical dental office and to design such an interesting space?
I think the first thing that I realized about being a dentist and being a business owner in general was that I actually have to go to work every day. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to work in an environment that was comfortable and familiar to me. Mm-hmm. And then I think my practice-based model is prevention and healthcare, not just teeth. Mm-hmm. So when people walk in, I wanted them to have like this sense of like warmth, community, and I wanted them to feel like this space was made for them. Mm-hmm. So like you mentioned, the artwork that we have, the bright colors that we have, but also one thing you didn't mention is our sound system. Ooh, so it's like a day party for kids, like they come in Friday. Some parents only want to come on Fridays because we have Jersey house music Fridays on, every Friday people want to come in and jam. Yeah. So I really wanted to just create an environment where I loved coming to every day, that my team loved coming to every day, and that the patients that come to see us and trust us with their healthcare have a good time when they're there.
I love that. Yeah, I'd heard some stories from friends about what like a challenging appointment it was for like the kid's first dentist appointment, and I was like, I can't relate. Like we just sat there and it was wonderful, and that she got a sticker and a balloon animal, and so that's amazing, and that encourages people to come back and take care of their health because they had a good experience, right?
For sure. Yeah. I mean, let's just face it, going to the dentist is not fun for anyone. Yeah. Me as a dentist, when I go to the dentist, I want someone to hold my hand too. Mm-hmm. And so we try to make it palatable, right? Like, is it really like a fun experience going to the dentist? Mm-hmm. Like,
I always like it, but
but there's some parts that are pretty crummy for a child.
Yeah,
even when I lecture to other dentists, I remind them of things that children don't like the sounds, the way things look, the way things taste, the way things smell. And so we're constantly combating all of these things to try to make them have a positive appointment and really kind of like wear them down over time. So I always tell the parents, in the beginning, the first visit may not be like that fun because I'm a stranger with my hands in their mouth. It's very personal. Right. But by like the third time, oh man, they're like putty in our hands for sure.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I love that. So, you opened Brilliant Smiles not too long ago, relatively new business in Teachers Village, right in the heart of downtown. So what made you feel like this was the right spot and the right time for you?
That's a great question. I feel like the way that I live my life, as much as I try to plan, God always has a different plan. And so probably 3 years prior to opening up is when I really decided I wanted to be, number one, downtown, because I wanted to be accessible to everyone from the city. All the bus lines are coming downtown. So I said, oh, wow, like this will be great. But it took a while before we actually opened because there was some zoning issues, figuring out how big I wanted this space to be. But it actually worked out perfect. I mean, by my definition, it worked out perfect. So we opened a month before COVID. So it was grand opening, grand closing. I think a lot of people would think like that's the worst time to open a business. And I mean, technically it was. Right. However, because everyone was home and everyone really had a sense of community and just, pouring into our own communities, I think that's why we thrived. We went viral in the Black-owned New Jersey group, and I came into the office on a Monday with 100 voicemails. And so we really kind of took off running, which was fantastic. So I think it was the perfect time.
Yeah, I love that's amazing.
I try to see the good in anything. So it was a great time.
That's great. So, you've got a mix of patients coming through your doors. A lot of people who are local, some folks probably not so local because they find you in groups like Black-owned New Jersey. How do people find you? And give us a sense of some of your patients at Brilliant Smiles.
We have patients from as far as like Atlantic City, Brooklyn, Princeton, New York State, Pennsylvania. I think I get a lot of patients. I mean, we haven't done much marketing, but I think word of mouth. But in addition to that, I also sit on the New Jersey Public Health Council. I was appointed by Governor Murphy, and I'm also a professor of pediatric dentistry at Newark Beth Israel Medical Center.
Wow.
So that's our local children's hospital, and so I treat a lot of patients that have special needs. Maybe they are about to undergo chemotherapy. Perhaps they need a heart transplant or open heart surgery. So I do all of those dental clearances. I also work with the hemophiliac and sickle cell clinic. So I think people hear from me from far away. Most of these patients are a vulnerable population and they really need specialty care. But also too, just, word of mouth, social media, and participating with local entities such as being on this wonderful podcast, as well as other initiatives that have taken place, especially the I'm Downtown one.
Yeah, we love that.
It's been great.
That was a great campaign Invest Newark was part of, where we highlighted local business owners, and yours was just a beautiful profile.
Thank you.
So, this is a kind of a fun question. So you grew up here in Newark, you went to Montclair State, then you got your master's in public health at UMDNJ. Then you got your doctorate in dental surgery at Howard University.
Yes.
And then a certificate in pediatric dentistry also at Howard.
Yes.
And then after all that, you came back to Newark, where you're from, to serve the community. So was that always the plan, or was there something that kind of happened along the way that brought you home?
Emily, I'm a Leo, so the plan is there is no plan.
Okay.
Right? I kind of just went with the wind. My family is here. I lost both of my parents when I was a teen, so I wanted to come home so that I can have time with my grandparents who are, still very active.
Okay.
And so I wanted to be closer to them. Yep. And that's really what brought me back to Newark from Washington, D.C., which I loved.
Wow.
And I worked all over the state. I worked down in near Cape May. I worked in Millville. I've worked as far northwest as Sussex County. And I didn't work in Newark as a dentist, except for my very first job, which was a school dentist. So I worked in Dayton Street School, where I was a student.
Okay.
And I worked at Quitman Street School, Central High. Yeah. And I did that for a year before I went back to specialize in pediatric dentistry. And so I knew just from that experience, when I opened my practice, not only do I want it to be in Newark, but I also wanted to still be a school dentist. Right. And so I've incorporated that into my current practice because in addition to the brick and mortar, we have a school-based dental program, and I service over 60 preschools. So we cover all of Jersey City, Clifton. We have some schools in Hackensack, Irvington, Roselle, and the Leaguers here in Newark.
Wow, that's amazing. Wow. How many people are on your team to service all these different groups and communities? Yeah.
We have a team of 4 dentists. Wow. And we have 5 assistants, 1 dental hygienist, and 3 people at the front desk.
Wow.
We're a small but mighty machine.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah. That's great. So here's something wild. We've done a lot of data polls about Newark to get more information on the community and the business needs. And we found that there are over 25,000 kids under the age of 5 living within just a few miles of where we're sitting here in downtown. That's a lot of little smiles.
Wow.
How much has that influenced how you built Brilliant Smiles? And what do you think it says about the future of this city for young families?
That number is just incredible. 25,000 under the age of 5.
Yeah.
Wow. I think with respect to marketing, I haven't really done really hard marketing. It's been mostly word of mouth. We've done a little bit of social media engagement. I would love to do more, but the reality is we are so busy. I see almost 40 to 50 children every single day.
Wow.
And it becomes a little bit difficult to make all these wonderful videos for TikTok, for Instagram, but whenever we do, it's definitely a hit.
Yeah.
For sure. But we found other ways to engage with the community, and we actually do social media marketing, but it's through our patients. For example, as soon as you walk into the practice, your child's name is plastered. So parents love to see that.
I love that.
We have a lot of other initiatives, like we have in the Newark Museum. We have a picture frame t-shirt that comes with fabric markers and fabric paint for the child to make their own masterpiece and wear it. Another example is when children leave my practice, they get a toothbrush, they get floss, but they also, in addition to the balloon animal, they also get a book.
Oh, wow.
And so we have age-specific books, which started with the United Way in 2022. They donated about 300 books to the practice that we were able to give to our patients. And now we funded the same initiative so that we're able to provide books. I mean, it's called Brilliant Smiles. We want all our patients to be brilliant. And being in Teachers Village, it kind of worked out perfectly that way. We're at the intersection of about 5 schools.
Right. And I'm glad you mentioned that Teachers Village, because there's schools there, there's a dance school, there's a new African dance school, and there's, some family-friendly businesses there. And that's something we're super interested in, bringing more family-friendly businesses to Newark for people that have young children. There's a lot of children in Newark, and that was just, within a few miles of your business.
Yes.
I think that, it's amazing to hear that you have 40 to 50 children coming to your location every day. That's a huge number.
It's enormous.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, that obviously there's a market for what you're doing, and you've really tapped into it and found it.
Yes, I think in Newark specifically, there's a market for people to feel like something is tailored just for them, right? So it's not cookie cutter, right? Like every single family does not have the same experience when they come in. I have one patient in particular. She started coming to me maybe within the first 6 months that we were open. She's autistic, and she hated coming to the dentist. I mean, most times when people find me when they're referred, I know that, usually it's going to be pretty challenging. So this patient refused to come into the office. She would cry. And I remember this one particular day she needed an extraction. She had work done elsewhere, and this tooth just had to go. And I ended up doing the extraction with my very first hire, who's still on my team, Des.
Wow.
And we did the extraction outside.
Outside?
We did it
office.
outside. We could not convince the patient to come inside. So we did it outside on the curb. I'm pretty sure Tony's Minis that's across the street was like, what is happening over there?
He was,
Absolutely. Yeah. But we did it on the curb. Now, this same patient now in 2025, when she comes into the office, she comes into my private office looking for snacks. So like I said, over time, we wear them down for sure.
Yeah, I love that story though. I mean, talk about personal care and modifying what you're doing to fit the needs of the patient.
Absolutely.
That's really
I
really
don't know
amazing.
if it's against going the Board of Dentistry that's also on Halsey Street, but as a pediatric dentist, you do what you got to do.
Yeah, that's an amazing story. And I really like the first thing that you said when you were kind of answering that question, which was people in Newark like things that are kind of custom to their needs, their wants, their interests, and doing that kind of market research and understanding that is so important when you're starting a business here.
Absolutely. I mean, I definitely had the cheat code.
Yes.
Because I'm from Newark.
You do.
Right? So a lot of times we get patients that need sedation. I do sedation at the hospital every Monday.
Wow.
And so a patient will come and say, hey, the other dentist, they tried and they were unsuccessful. They need to go to sleep. I look at the kid, 7 years old. They're smiling. I'm like, my favorite kind of patient. I like a challenge. And most of the time, I would say over 65% of the time, the child does not need sedation. They just need a little bit of time. They need a little bit of care. And so we have to tailor that visit just to that particular kid, which makes the job fun. I mean, otherwise, I'm a dentist. I work on baby teeth, but really the challenge for me, like I tell all families, I'm stronger than a child. Success as a pediatric dentist for me is not getting the work done. It's me helping their developing psyche around accepting dental treatment.
Yeah.
So although success to the parent may look like getting the filling done, for me, sometimes it's not getting the filling done. It's getting the child comfortable so that when they get to a level where they trust me, we can do anything.
Right. That's such another interesting story about listening to the patient. I got all four of my wisdom teeth out when I was a teenager, and I was so anxious about it, but I was anxious about the sedation part of it.
Okay.
And so they just said, well, you don't have to be sedated. You can make a soundtrack, listen to music. And so then all the anxiety went away because that was what I was worried about. But someone talked to me and like asked, well, what are you nervous about, right? And then you can adjust. So that's amazing that you work like that with your patients.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, children are people too.
Of course.
I think sometimes, especially me as a mom, we speak on behalf of our children. But really, it's the poor child that has to sit there and endure a surgical procedure awake.
Yeah.
And so whatever I can do as the dentist to calm them, to make them feel comfortable, then I'm going to do that.
Yep.
2 of the doctors on my team are bilingual.
Okay.
And so we have a doctor that speaks Haitian Creole. We have another doctor that speaks Spanish. And so for patients where that's their native language or that's their only language, I try to schedule them with the appropriate doctor because it's nothing like trying to endure something and you don't know what's going on. You can't understand the language and, your child is just sitting there. And then the child is feeding off of the parent's energy. And if the parent is tense, then the child is going to be tense. So, I do what I can, of course, within reason to make sure that every family feels supported and heard. And before I put on any gloves, we are at a mutual understanding of what's going to happen for the visit.
Wow, I'm so glad you mentioned the language capabilities on your team as well. That's super important.
Yes, and one of my doctors is Indian, and she also speaks Hindu and, several Indian languages. So
wow, that's fantastic. So, you talked about you being a mom. I found that being a mom changed a lot of things, changed the way I think about the world, think about everything. How has that impacted your practice?
Tremendously. My daughter's 5, and if anyone that has children over the age of 5, you know what I'm going through, right? So these new children, they have requests, they have feelings, they are amazing at having boundaries. And so I really try to respect that.
I'm sure that informs, you understand their patients better.
Yes, and I'm an expert in 5-year-olds because I know how to get to the end of the appointment. And really it's just, being themselves. One of the things I teach to the residents at Newark Beth Israel for pediatric dentistry is just telling them it's kind of like you're just hanging out with a friend. You have something in common with a kid. You just have to figure out what that is. Right? So I often ask my patients, and their parents what are you doing this weekend? Number one, I'm trying to get tips on what to do with my own kid for the weekend. But just trying to understand what we do that we have in common. What's your favorite subject? My favorite subject was math. So as soon as a kid says math, I'm like, oh yeah, I get it. You know, I understand. So just finding that common ground and being able to relate to them, then they can trust you. You know, it's a person.
So we've talked a lot about kind of the challenges in your particular practice and being a pediatric dentist and some of the solutions that you've come up with. Can you talk about the challenges of opening a business and some advice that you might have for someone else who wants to open a business?
Oh, that's such a layered question, Emily. I mean, I don't think we have enough time. I will say that any entrepreneur, anyone that's ever opened a business, you have to understand that challenges are part of the course. There's not going to be any place or any type of business that you're going to open where it's going to be smooth. I would definitely say there's been far more positives. Number one, the developer that I worked with at RBH, they were fantastic in helping me to get going, especially opening at the beginning of COVID, which was a challenging time for everyone in the world. They were, the way they handled that was exquisite, to say the least. I will also say a lot of other dental friends that I have, especially with trying to figure out staffing, has always been a challenge. But I honestly feel like I have a wonderful team. Most of the people, I will say most people don't quit. I probably have had 2 people to resign since we've been open for 5 years. And even people that I fired, they still bring their kids to us.
Wow.
So I try to create not just a great environment for the kids, but I think it really softens up the staff too to work in the non-conventional way that we're working, right? If you can just bust out a dance move in the middle of the day. We have custom temporary tattoos. We're always doing a really quirky quirky project. We have walls all throughout the bottom portion of our office for kids to draw on. For our staff members, I actually have 3 artists that work in the office.
Wow.
They do their own little murals in their room.
Wow.
And so it's really become a place where people really feel celebrated to be themselves, right? We have some people that may not look like typical corporate America, right? They may have some tattoos, they may have some piercings, but we're serving this community that looks just like us. So I encourage people to be themselves. So those challenges of trying to find a team that really bought into the vision has not been a challenge.
Wow.
At all. So, I mean, I would say the biggest challenge being on Halsey Street may be the parking, but that's not a real challenge. We're downtown.
Right. And your destination. People want to get there.
Absolutely.
They'll figure it out.
So that's part of the course.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I like that your advice about letting your staff bring their whole selves to work has allowed you to really create a team that's stuck together for a long time now.
Absolutely. And we're probably too close. Like when someone walks in, I'm like, your sugar looks low, eat this. You know, so we probably are too familiar with each other, but it works wonderfully. And I will say that the families actually comment on this all the time. They're like, wow, how long have y'all been working together? They're like, oh, wow, this is really nice. This is really warm. And not just people from Newark. And not just people that look like us. Everyone that comes in, we find a way to have something in common with them. Because we do, just as human beings, we have something in common with all of us.
Well, customers can feel that when you walk in and someone's not happy, you feel it, right? There's a vibe.
Yes, that's true.
So that's good. I've never felt that people feel just happy when you walk in and very comfortable and interactive. So that's fantastic.
Yes, there's one little boy that brought his birthday cake to the practice last month.
Okay.
And we lit candles and we had to sing happy birthday. And it was like, wow, you really like the dentist this much?
That's a lot.
But every time he comes, one of my assistants, Candice, caters to him. She loves on this little boy. And he's not from Newark. They live in South Jersey. It's a Jewish family. And he loves Candice. And so he wanted to make sure that he came to celebrate with us and Candice. And we had a good time. It was great.
Cute. That's so cute.
Yeah, very odd, but amazing at the same time.
I love that. Well, those are good stories, though. Those are good stories. So we're sitting here next to this beautiful bag. Tell us a little bit about this bag that you brought.
So if anyone's been to my office, they know that it is really an art gallery with dental equipment inside. And so this one artist that I collect, his name is Patrick. He goes by Pizza in the Rain on Instagram. And I had him do this little cartoon of the practice because it was our 5-year anniversary. And we had a lot of merchandise and maybe some bags and some napkins that we wanted to brand for the celebration. And so we came up with this bag that is customizable with fabric markers or fabric paint, kind of like the shirts that we had in the Newark Museum gift shop. So it's just another marketing tool. So our patients that have been with us for years, when they leave, we end up giving this to them to just thank them for continuing to come to our business after all this time.
I love that. I want to color one in now. That's fun. So we always like to end by asking our guests to pay it forward. Can you shout out a Newark business that you really love and tell us why you think everyone should check them out?
Oh, this is a great one. The first one that comes to mind is actually someone who used to be on my team. Her name's Jasmine Norman, and she's the owner of Proud to Be Me Learning Center. It's also on Halsey Street. And she's fantastic. I definitely think you should have a chat with her. She's got a lot to share.
We love Jasmine, and she's actually been in our Executive Business Accelerator. So
super.
Can you tell us what is Proud to Be Me? What kind of business does she run?
So it's primarily for young children that may need some assistance with studying or with their schoolwork. And so this is a learning center that not only empowers them to be themselves, but also provides them with a light curriculum to support the studies that they're doing at school.
That's amazing. So kind of aftercare.
Yes.
That's fantastic. Dr. Webb, thank you so much for joining us. You're showing that pediatric care can be thoughtful, personal, and rooted in love for your hometown. We need more spaces like Brilliant Smiles and more leaders like you.
Oh, it was a pleasure. Thank you for having me, Emily. Thank you.
To everyone listening, if you grew up in Newark, went to school here, or still call it home, there's an opportunity waiting for you here. Dr. Webb is proof that you don't have to look far to make a lasting impact. Be sure to subscribe, share the episode, and come back for more conversations with the people who are Newark Made.